basically down the pan. So, moving on to our final topic that I want to talk about today, and it's what drivers who are no longer in Formula E that we would like to see back. Now, I'm going to start off this. Now, I don't know why. But I've just got massive soft spot for Loic Duval. I had a look back for his record. It was just one driver that I would like to see back because he was great to talk to. He was a great driver, and then I look back for his record. He came in season one at Dragon Racing alongside Jerome D'Ambrosio, straight away on the pace, getting fourth place, third place, two podiums, one in London and one in Berlin, I believe. So straight away on the pace. And then season two, again, a really strong, really consistent in season two. Picking up lots of fourth, lots of podiums. Not many podiums, sorry, just lots of fourth and lots of point scoring positions, I meant to say. And then obviously he had a free races towards the end of the season where he didn't score, and then he scored another fourth place in London. So he was super consistent in when Dragon were actually at their peak in season one and season two. And then obviously went to season three and the car wasn't as quick, and the performances just seemed to drop. And obviously he had his DTM commitments, which I suppose succumbed him to sort of leaving the series. So if there was a driver I'd love to see back, it'd be Loic Duval, because he showed he was super consistent, and he was a good fun around in the paddock, and I think he was good to watch. So for me, it was Loic Duval. Jack, who would you like to see back?
Mine is Felix Rosenqvist, and that's not just because I'm heavily biased towards the country of Sweden. But but yeah, no, Felix Rosenqvist was brilliant in his 2 years. I think we only had him for 2 years in Formula E, unfortunately. But even then, he showed that he was a force to be. He was a force to be reckoned with. Um, I think he got his first pole position on his second appearance in Marrakesh, and then finished on the podium that race, and then he won in Berlin later that season, and then
Could have been back to back if it wasn't for the pit lane incident with Heidfeld. We could have won two races back to back.
yeah, it could have been, and then also last year, I do think, no, not last year, season four even, mixing up my seasons. Felix was quite unlucky with the mechanic. He had a mechanical, he had a mechanical problem in Mexico. He hit the curb in Rome, which sent him out the race. And there were and there were a few other things that meant that, yeah, he didn't go on to do. I don't think he even finished top three, but no, I do think that he was one of the best drivers in Formula E, and once Sam Bird wins a championship, I think he will be the greatest driver not to win a Formula E championship.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. Do you think, if he was given, I suppose Mahindra were a good car when he was with them, but let's say he was in that Tech Cheetah with John Eric Verne, do you think, or even the BMW, for example, do you think, he could have really mounted a challenge for the championship?
I would have loved to see that. I, I mean, the Mahindra was good, but to see him in the Techeetah or a BMW would be quite exciting.
Yeah. So Ed, who was your driver that you're looking forward to seeing back? Well, that you'd love to see back.
Okay, I am Denard. I before we recorded, I suggested a few different ones, but I think I've decided that the person I would like to see come back is someone who I think had a lot of potential and maybe didn't really have. He never really had a full season to show what he could have done, and that is Mike Conway, who of course drives for the Toyota team in World Endurance, but he did drive for Venturi in season two when Jack Villeneuve, after three races, basically decided that he didn't want to put himself through crashing out and not doing particularly well in the Venturi. Mike Conway was brought in as a replacement for Buenos Aires that season onwards, and he actually got into Super Pole in his first appearance, I remember, and then got struggled to learn energy management. So I always felt like that he's been a really quick driver, especially in endurance cars, but I think in prototypes. But I think some of that carried over. We definitely saw some of his speed on occasion in Formula E. Last race he did was, I believe, season three. He filled in for Duval, funnily enough, you mentioned, Jack. Paris.
In Paris, yeah.
In season 3, in that Faraday Future Car, which I believe is also one of your favourite liveries. That, yeah, I'm sort of combining several episodes that people may not have seen, but but anyway, I think if any team was struggling for drivers, if you're a team that's a bit lower down the field, you could do a heck of a lot worse than go for Mike Conway.
No, Mike Conway, obviously, he was so quick when he came in, and it was sort of a surprise. Like, we weren't expecting him to do as well as he did. Like, thinking of other drivers, imagine having Scott Speed season 1 just completely, boom, straight away in Miami, first race that he did, and he set the world alight. Like, what could he have done if he had a season? Jack, is there any other names, maybe, just before we end, anyone else that you think might, you'd love to see?
I did have a list. I've since lost that list. But so I'm now gonna have to think of people. Tom Dillman. He was fantastic in the Venturi. Didn't have a great season last year in Neo.
But who would?
Yeah, even Austin Turvey struggled to score a few points.
Yeah, I am trying to think of other drivers. Stefan Zarazan. I think we had a little chat about before the start. He actually did. He actually did a very good job in seasons 1, 2, and 3. In season 3, he left Venturi halfway through, went to Techeetah, and I think he scored a podium. I think in Montreal, but yeah, I think there are quite a few names.
Zarazan's kind of getting on a bit,
Yeah, but he replaced Esteban Gutierrez, and Esteban Gutierrez, he wasn't awful in that Techeetah. I don't know why. Obviously, I think F1, and obviously that was still his priority, trying to get back into that, and obviously he managed to get into
IndyCar swooped him away.
Yeah, and that's true as well. That he had that test.
Mara Engel, I think, is also extremely quick. Got some really solid results, and again for Venturi before being dropped.
Yeah, that was sort of a surprise by Maro Engel. Sort of like you'd expect him. He didn't look like he deserved to be dropped. He was super consistent in that Venturi. So obviously, if he was able to get a seat back, then I'm sure he'd love to jump back into it. Remember, if you're really enjoying the content, you can hit that like and subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. We also have a Patreon page. If you love us that much, you can help us sort of one day maybe perform these from a studio rather than our bedrooms once we get out of lockdown. But thank you so much for watching today's show. You've been watching the FEZ show, and we will see you very soon.